you guys in a bit.
All
You're
right.
gonna have to let me back in because I'm leaving this.
We'll think about it.
Okay, appreciate that.
See you in a minute, Dan. Good morning. Happy Sunday. This is the Sunday Comic Book Hangover Show. That was our guest, Dan. He swears he'll be right back. I'm Nate from Holly Comics, joined as always by Hagan from Lettuce Comics.
Yeah,
And,
I think Dan is probably just looking for an excuse to not have to hang out with us this morning. But everybody else is here.
So yes, this is our first Sunday show since Heroes Con. And I just got done saying backstage, I just finished unpacking yesterday.
Mhm.
It was the last of like the dirty clothes and things that I was getting through. So I'm still like kind of out of whack from last weekend. Like it was a little mini vacation, and it pushed my week's schedule off more than I thought it would. But yeah, how are you, Hagan?
I'm tired and hungover. What's new on a Sunday morning? But yeah, no, I still have yet to file away all of my books. I've filmed the first video that I'm gonna make. I need to film the second video that I'm gonna make, and maybe do a third one. That's just gonna be like Heroes Con ASMR. But yeah, all of the laundry is done. So there is that.
That's good. Well, we got some folks in here to say hey to us.
Yeah, man.
So let's say hey to them. As always, first 1:16 in the morning. The man never. I think I was actually up at this time.
Yeah, we were up and talking to him at that point.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. I thought I had a foggy memory there. There is Matt from Impressed Comics, another of our Heroes Con friends. John, JSS Brooklyn, also got to meet him at Heroes. Very cool. Thank you for modding today, JSS. And Christina, another friend we met at Heroes Con.
Hey, y'all.
My friend Eric, good morning. Good morning, Chris. Heading to Washington, D.C. Very cool. Stevie D, good morning, Stevie. Good morning, Lyle. Wow, Lyle, all the way from up there.
Yeah.
Rich from Big Nasty. He's got a couple Heroes Con videos out. I saw the first one. I haven't seen the second one yet. Justin, somebody who I just I was shooting stuff too, and I just the book that he gave us that he did the lettering on, I got. Good morning, Michael. And Phil was at Heroes. Morning, K Munin. A lot of people saying good morning to each other. Not seeing anyone new yell at. Oh, there's Digger Jim. I saw him too.
Digger Jim's there.
I got he gave me a wheat penny and a sticker, which I thought was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. I still have my wheat pennies up here, I think. They're somewhere. I've got a pile of very nice letters that I read whenever I get sad.
Yeah, I have a ton actually in a folder up here. I got to get more out, but I have a lot just hanging on my wall facing my computer where I work.
I was about to say there's a new name that just came in. Sobo the Barbarian. Mourning from someone who wasn't at Heroes. Well,
maybe next time.
Maybe next time. And everybody that I know should have plenty of stuff for you to be able to live vicariously through us. So.
Yeah. It was really cool. It was a lot. It was kind of overwhelming. A little bit the experience, not that it wasn't like fun the entire time, but then when I got home and like looked at stuff, just like, what am I doing? Like, what am I going to do with all this? 2 short boxes plus just a bunch of other stuff. So I know I saw Matt from Impressed. He put out a Heroes video as well that I watched yesterday. I'm just curious, anybody who's in the chat and went, if you picked something cool up, just drop it in the chat. Like, I mean, my big pickup, I guess, would be I got Justice League number 7, which I do have one. There it is. And this was in my first video, but like this is probably the thing that I got, it's definitely the thing I dropped the most money on. Not that makes it the most cool or whatever. It's just I really like this cover for the body transformation stuff. But I'm just curious because there are people who went who don't have, don't necessarily do channels or whatever. Maybe I missed a post on Instagram. I do just like to know what people got.
Yeah, some of my favorite experiences from Heroes were one, like the night where the FOMO squad just did our 2-hour long shindig. But also like when people would just come up to us while we were like talking and stuff and just showing one another what we got. One of those people being our lovely guest. I want to say Stan, who loves Excalibur.
Right.
Is that right?
I spelled the name wrong. If it's available there. Yes, that's right. No, Stan. It's sticking. It's sticking every time we meet.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So if you don't know, this is Dan from Dan's X-Men Comics. And if I was quick enough this morning, I think I did get a link to your Instagram page. Dan does not have a YouTube. And that's one of the, questions that people ask him all the time. YouTube, how come no? And, but he does post on Instagram. You have some funny bits on there. I really particularly enjoyed your, Breakfast Club ending. With your higher grade, your what is his name? Judd Nelson? Is that it?
The actor?
Yeah, at the end. I can't, but the fist pump you do at the end.
Right, yeah.
It's pretty good.
So I even Dan, like a field with where there would be a goalpost, but it was just it's an actual goalpost, but in the footage it just looks like an iron bar. I worked so hard to get that right, but you know what? I'm glad that it stuck out to you. So thank you.
It did.
Thank you.
I just want to jump here real quick because I talked to Digger Jim. He was looking for an Iron Man #1, so that's really cool that you got it. And got it hopefully for a price, because when I spoke to him, I think on Saturday, he just wasn't happy with any of the prices he was seeing.
Sure.
Christina's big pickup was having coffee with Phil. Could have done that. Morning, John. Justin Birch picked up Walt Disney's Comics and Stories #1 from 1940 and a 4.0. Justin Birch does not play around.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
What is that? What is that cover? I'm trying to remember. Like,
I don't know.
Like a Mickey Mouse red cover or something. I mean, he's gonna know.
Yeah. Hagan's gonna get on the internet.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm doing it.
Gosh, you guys got great lighting. I'm in my mom's massage room. It's all dim. There's crystals, but they are not reflecting well off of me.
My mom's massage room is either going to be the name of my next punk band or my next punk band's album. My mom's massage room. It does sound like a good album.
I'm setting myself up for.
So, I mean, speaking of setting yourself up, Dan, we met you for the first time this weekend, like in person. Had you been to Heroes Con before?
No. I mean, I never go to the East Coast at all. I'm from Portland, Oregon, and so I'm usually just going to just little shows around town. What's up, Mark? And yeah, so last year was the first time I ever went to the East Coast for a comic show, for sure, and it was at Terrificon, and now this year, Heroes.
So are you not doing Terrificon then? Because I know some people are doing both.
Gosh, I'd love to do it. I don't think it'll happen. Yeah. As much as man, that weekend is free,
Wow. I mean, it's not free, Dan. there's going to be some cost.
It is not free. Well,
and any of the discounted block rooms, that's over by now. So like if you're going, you're gonna. That's what I ran into last year when I kind of felt FOMO'd by all the people talking about going. I was like, I'm gonna look into it. All I had to do was look at hotel room prices, and I was like, I'm out. I mean, I couldn't even afford to, buy book one. I'd be spending all my money just to stay, and especially this year. I mean, Heroes didn't wipe me out, but it was expensive enough of a con that I'm done for a bit. I'm full. I need to digest.
Unfortunately, I think that I am just at the point in my life where I have one big con in me a year. I can go to like the smaller ones, but like I wouldn't be able to do. I don't think I'd be able to do Heroes Con and Terrificon in a year. I just don't think that it's possible for me. But yeah, K Munin, surprised that Nate said that he saw over 10 copies of AF-15. I think 10 is a low number.
Really?
Yeah, I
It was-
saw more than 10, I believe.
And
I
JSS
do feel
saying
like
I'm surprised at how uncommon it is, because you feel like it is a more rare book, but several booths had it. None of them were in my price range.
Oh,
One of my favorite stories is Hagan and I were digging at a booth, and this guy had a box of just random Golden Age books, and in there was like Amazing Fantasy 12. And I'd never seen any other book from the series.
yeah.
And Hagen's like, keep going, see if they got a 15. They didn't, not in the box anyway. That place may have had another AF-15 though.
They probably did.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm with you, K-Mun, and I had never seen one in my life. I saw Matt from Impressed got his picture taken with one.
Mm-hmm.
There was something somebody had. It was at the booth. Hagan held a Golden Age Captain America, but before you got there,
cool.
there was a guy. The guy he had some book on that wall. He's like, "Do you want to hold it?" I was like, "Oh hell no!" I mean, it was just like, I'm happy just to look. It's too many thousands of dollars, and there's no chance of nothing.
Yeah.
So Dan, this was a comic convention. Everybody that was in this circle knows that you went to Terrificon last year. Are cons like your space for digging, for looking for books, or do you predominantly go to like antique stores or LCSs, or
Dude,
what do you do?
Okay. You guys brought the wrong guy on, because I am a basic ass bitch when it comes to comic collecting. I 100% of my comics, come from eBay. I'm on eBay. I have the saved search for exactly what I'm looking for. I do the save search, newest listed, and the eras that I'm looking for and the title that I'm looking for, and I just refresh that 3 times, 4 times a day whenever I get a chance to look, and then I scroll through. So I'm seeing everything that goes up within that category, and that's like how I'll find a good deal, just something that is mispriced or whatever. That's the kind of comic I'm looking for. I do still have I have a lot of great comic shops in Portland.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. So that's really fun to go to. I kind of just do that for fun. It's fun to kind of dig around, and sometimes you find something that was priced a long time ago, or I'm just finding upgrades in the back bins, or something that's new to the shop. They usually have a box right up front, but I usually stick to the titles that I'm really focused in on now, since I started an Instagram account. That was where I was, really, really honing in on the collection that I was creating. Yeah.
And I'm going to take the liberty of assuming that those are X titles that you hone in on.
That's right. I really was all over the place before that. Yeah, the X-Men stuff came up because that is the thing that I realized I was the most passionate about, the thing that I knew the most about, and just felt like it was, it just kind of came naturally to me. And from, learning from other guys like you guys on YouTube, just understanding kind of what you're really into and really honing in on that is the way that you're going to achieve the books that you've always wanted, because I was always just kind of at the bottom feeder level of, just grabbing all kinds of different books and never really being satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's be honest, none of us are ever satisfied.
Ever. No. It's sadness.
That is the disease.
Always chasing the dragon for that high. Yeah.
So the thing that led you to realizing that X-Men was your bag, were they your first love, or was it something that happened later, or?
Yeah, it was. I mean, when I was really young, I was into Spider-Man and Captain America, and just I guess I wasn't, just all the basic characters there. but also I was really into just weird, weird to me comics as I was younger, like adult style comics, Milk and Cheese, Flaming Carrot, and
Hell yeah.
you know, those types of, you know, weird mutant kind of characters, humanoid, you know, dealing with adult situations that I didn't understand. My brother collected those types of comics, and he had friends who drew comics, and so I would just love picking those up and checking those out. And you know, like porno anime comics, like, you know, like that was the first time you ever see naked lady. So I loved all that. That's really how I started. And then the mainstream characters just came from like, okay, I loved cartoons. I would rent the video VHS tapes, Ninja Turtles, things like that. But then X-Men came along when I was collecting Pogs in like second and third grade. And then like trading cards, you know, my friends had trading cards on the playground, and it was always like the Marvel Series 2, I think, like with the you know, like the intergalactic space borders. And that's when I was like really interested in the art. And since my friends were all into them, again, basic dude here, whatever everybody else is into, that's what I was into. And so they were all into that. The X-Men cartoon just started, or at least like that's when my friends were watching that. So I loved that. And that's what really kicked off the X-Men craze for me.
Yeah. A lot of people who are into the X-Men and that are like my age and older, mostly older, say that the X-Men cartoon is the thing that started it for them, you know?
Yeah.
Justin Birch is getting all kinds of excited that you were talking
I was
about
hoping
Pogs.
someone was going to comment on the Pogs. In second or third grade, I was trying to do the math and
This is
date
the
you
Pogs
there.
for Life sign. I hope that doesn't offend anybody.
At my school, we do like a scar, you know, like really carve it in.
Remember your slammer? It's like, it's always about like who's got like the fucking like 5-inch metal slammer. It's like, dude.
Yeah, it didn't like it was like anything. I felt like no one played the game. Everyone just had the pieces.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I see with kids and Pokemon cards now too. Most of them don't know how to play the game. They just like the cards. But that's how Pogs were at my school. Like people just had them, you know, like crazy.
Yeah. Oh, I got hustled.
I have gone my entire life without knowing, or I think even seeing what a Pog is. So like as this conversation is happening, it's the world is going to like black and white for me.
There is a great video out there from the 90s of like this extreme 90s kid explaining how to play Pogs. Like it's put out by the corporation. And I can't remember what it is, but he's like, "Oh, we're totally gonna slam some Pogs," and it's that 90s MTV, like it's so bad and so of the era. I can't recommend it enough. There's also there were some Magic the Gathering commercials from that same time period that were kind of similar, like a bunch of people watching people play Magic. He's breaking out a goblin.
Just gathered around.
1/1 flyer. So I highly recommend finding that Pog commercial but I think it's like how to play, and I think it's like 30 minutes long. So if you don't have as much time in your life to waste as I do, maybe watch that on 2x speed or just the intro.
Dude, I played a Pog tournament in the at a mall.
You were in a Pog tournament?
Yeah.
How did you?
Oh, how did I do? Okay.
How did we place?
Hold on a second. I need to sit cross-legged on the rug in front of you.
I'll make
cup of apple juice.
My dad was I'm like, Dad, just drop me off. Just leave me here. He's like, all right, I'll just, hang out for a second. I'm like, my first game starts now. You get 2 chances. You lose twice, you're out. Lost my first round. And I was like, you know what, Dad? Just take me home. It was a room full of sharks out there. And I was just like, I could feel that.
You rage quit a Pogs tournament?
I rage quitted Pogs and never came back. I ran home crying to my dad. Yes. So that was the end of my Pog career.
Man, you could have been big. You should have stuck with it. What was your slammer?
I really liked this little glow in the dark, lightweight, uh, like little. There's a dog graphic of a dog on it, and that was just like, for some reason I was just like, I won a couple of games against friends there, and that was my slammer. But the other guys had like the.
I mean, I'm sorry. I've never met someone who like legitimately tried to play Pogs before, but also competitively. Like,
I mean, now I'm sitting here googling. Now I'm sitting here googling what are Pogs.
Don't even worry about it. Yeah, don't worry about it. Dude, your guys' chat is awesome. I'm trying to like read this because you could have like a whole conversation with any one of these guys right here. I've seen a couple questions that.
Trying to monitor these guys. And there was a question for you. And
the first question that I wanted to talk about was from Matt from Impress Comics. Yes. Because since I've started following you, you have gotten way more into like Mark Jewlers variants. And I just wanted to know what was sort of the thing that started that?
Gosh. Yeah, good question. I don't really know because ever since like when I first learned about Mark Jewlers, I always thought it was like kind of dumb. Like I was like, what's the difference? It's an advertisement insert for jewelry. I don't care about that. I don't have anybody in my family that was in the military or anything, so I don't really have a connection to that either. Which is actually a really cool story. I really like. That's probably the biggest draw. I'd say for anybody who collects it or really. Just that's what's interesting is that they were only dispersed on military bases, as far as I know, and that there's kind of like a little bit of unknown information about it too. I thought that was interesting, but I guess I started getting into it just because you got to chase the dragon, like we were saying, and it's like once I had all the comics that I really do care about, as far as my passion for collecting the run, because I collected the run and then I collected 3 of the runs, that I love. Not X-Men 1 through 300, but in the Claremont era is what I really love. So I already got them all, and then I was like, well, what's next? Now I go for a newsstand and a direct edition version, and then it was somebody had suggested, oh, now you got to get Mark Jewlers, and I said, yeah, right. I never see a Mark Jewlers, and then. I found one time, and then I was like, oh, like you can look for them. If you really look, like you really got to train your eye. And I'm still learning. Like you get fooled sometimes when you're looking at over the top of the box. So once I was able to like kind of spot them, and there's this thrill that comes from knowing that like this is a Mark Jeweler copy, and usually Mark Jeweler copies have a little bit higher price. But look at this service over here.
Yeah, I know, right?
Mysterious arm coming through the side of the screen to hand over
I'm a really lucky man, and I'm aware.
That was my arm. My video feed right now is on a loop, like Ghost Protocol style.
Under the table and around to the Mom, bring me a coffee.
Yeah, we built a set of my office in his house so that way we could truly live together in matrimony.
There is a hole, if you will, in the wall.
Multi-purpose.
A glorious hole.
Yes, a glorious hole. Yeah.
Jim, it is not even 10 a.m. on a Sunday. There will be no White Claw until the sun is much lower on the horizon, if any. Like, I went hard on Saturday. I really.
Oh, did you?
I did.
Playing games all night? What are you talking about?
I'm too old. Yeah, I was playing Marvel Rivals all night.
Oh, really? Drinking White Claws, playing Marvel Rivals?
No, I was drinking whiskey.
Oh,
it was a really fun Saturday. It's been a while.
Drinking whiskey and getting his ass kicked by 12-year-olds, I'm sure.
We did pretty okay sometimes, Sometimes we were okay.
Okay, hey, okay in life is what I'm striving for, so that's pretty good. Yeah. So
your era, you said, is the Claremont era of X-Men, which I've actually read some of at Eric from SideQuest Comics his suggestion to read God Loves, Man Kills, which was, you know, it was freaking excellent. And I have a lot of Claremont's New Mutants run. I like that book. I actually like that book a lot. What are your books besides the Claremont Uncanny? Like, what are the other books you said that you were into, that you were collecting?
Well, let's see here. I mean, there's a lot of books that I, you know, enjoy and will collect. You know, I mean, Spider-Man, a little bit of Amazing Spider-Man stuff, just because I grew up with that character too, so I enjoy a little bit of that. But I'd say like the things that do really hit me are the ones that I had when I was younger. So I do have, there's two different kinds of collections that I have, like my box for the comics that, you know, have value, are more mainstream, the covers, you know, and like, you know, the ones that everybody wants, you know, I'm following along in the, you know, with everybody else comics, right?
Yeah.
And then I have my box of just things that I'm trying to remember that I had when I was younger. Ninja High School, Samurai Penguin, like I was mentioned before, Milk and Cheese,
Samurai Penguin.
Yeah. And you know, maybe like some Ninja Turtles or something, just like those. What was it? Captain Carrot. You know, these, like I said, like the character, the humanoid animal characters that I had when I was younger, or any of the smutty types of comics that I had when I was younger as well. Can't remember the name of this one. I'm still trying to hunt it, and I just can't remember the name of it. And you try to Google, you know, sex.
Yeah,
You know,
90s comic book with boobs, and then a billion things come up.
Right. Some sort of bestiality stuff going on and something, and you know, that's what I'm in. That's what I'm into.
Happy Sunday morning.
Happy Sunday, everyone. Thanks for being here.
Yeah. So it's really fun to like kind of chase after those comics that, you know, Tank Girl. I think I had like a few of those. So some of those comics are the ones that also I just really enjoy flipping through and being like, wow, you turn to a page and it just really takes you back. Like, holy shit, I remember, you know, flipping through this when I was younger, and you know, I was way too young for some of this stuff, you know. So that was really fun. Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Rod. Yeah.
I find it very funny that you're like, oh, I'm so basic when I collect, but I mean, you just whipped out Samurai Penguin, and that's not a book. You know, you talked about Flaming Carrot, and any of these TMNT animal parodies from back in the day, like the Black Belt Hamsters.
Yes.
Right. So these Eric just gave these to me. Cool. The four of us, the FOMO Squad guys, we got together on Thursday and had like a Christmas in Dope Comics room where we just passed stuff out. But one of the things Eric gave me was Samurai Penguin.
Oh, so cool. Yeah.
He of course has the whole run. Like, I didn't realize how many there were, but he collects all those too. But those are
I don't know how many there are either. I only have the first 6 because those are the ones that I had when I was younger. So, but yeah, how many are there of that? You know,
I don't know. Eric is here, so he would know. But those are deeper cuts, and even like even when it comes to like comic books, it's not like you're like not. I mean, you're not like I'm into Spider-Man, I'm into Batman. You're like I'm into the X-Men. The X-Men are weird, man. They're their own universe.
Yeah. It's interesting, like how popular yet like you know, they're not as mainstream as these guys that I get. Maybe it's just because of the movies recently, you know, because like everybody knows, you know, Thor, anybody of the Avengers, right? Batman, Superman, but but I feel like X-Men is also probably like the second most popular title after Amazing Spider-Man. But maybe that's just my bias. I don't know.
I think the X titles, like, just go to an LCS and look. Like, I mean, Batman has a section, and the X-Men have a section, and Spider-Man has a section.
Yeah,
that's pretty much it. You know,
those are the ones that you can count on for sure, like having their own demarcated sections. But yeah, it is bizarre to me that that like Rocket Raccoon and Cyclops are as popular as one another. If not,
Hmm.
like Rocket Raccoon is probably more popular than Cyclops at this point. Like I just don't understand how that happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, like
JSS is doing the Lord's work and letting us know there are 8 issues of Samurai Penguin to track
Oh,
down.
okay. So now I got to finish the run. So
yeah. I got 7 more to
More
go. I've got a reason to get out of bed tomorrow. That's what's most important.
dude. I'm like motivated now for sure.
Like, now I hope I
8
don't
is a
stop
very
reading in my
8 is a
sleep.
very reasonable goal. You know, you can do that.
Right.
Yeah. You can do that today. Anybody. Yeah, I'm sure you could get it for cheap, unless like 7 and 8. Sometimes the last issues are like really hard to find, or
Yeah, like 7's the first cameo appearance of like Usagi Yojimbo or some bullshit
something like that. Yeah. Oh God, I hope not. Yeah. Then it's like now I have to have it though. So God damn it.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I've got breaking news that I forgot about that I was gonna tell Hagan. So I've got breaking news, and everybody needs to hear this anyway, about Brute Force.
Any chance you get.
Any chance I get, everyone needs to know about Brute Force. So Brute Force 4-issue miniseries about animals in mech suits or whatever. It's ridiculous. Hagan and I found it on the last day of the con, and it just brought us. It's still bringing me so much joy. So it was in my video. There it is, twinsies. It was in my last video, and someone left me a message, and I got to look this up. There is another appearance of Brute Force from 2020 in a book called, yes, from a book called Weapon Plus World War IV. So it's IV, but it's about like man. It looks like Creature Commandos, but like Man Thing is being weaponized. But then down at the bottom is this little like insert that says, activate Project Brute Force, a little mini, like a backup feature. So if you think I'm not tracking that down,
hold on just a second.
And I think we got other. There we go. He's bringing it up. There you go.
Oh my goodness!
Wow.
And I think we did get other people on the Brute Force train. So now, to have it all, we got to get this too.
Yeah, that's where's my pen?
Yeah, someone left a comment. They were like, okay, just so you know that this exists, so now you got to go find that. I was like, you're right, I do.
So tell me a little more about Brute Force, because this does seem like something that would be right up my alley when I had first started collecting.
I don't know what to tell you. I don't know anything about it except this issue so far. I'm going totally based on the cover.
Dolphin with an ooze.
It reminds me of like Captain Carrot or the Zoo Crew, or what was that other one? The Conservation Corps was another like animal team. But yeah, it's like it's these animals in mech suits, and like these people dressed as clowns break into an animal research center, and they're terrorists or something.
Clowns.
And there's a gorilla hooked up to this machine, and the clown terrorists are trying to steal the gorilla, because why wouldn't you, right?
Yeah.
And the scientist looks at him.
Carnival or something.
He says the gorilla's in too much pain, and if you unhook him, the pain will be converted to rage. And that's a scientific formula that I've definitely heard before, right? Like that's real. That's a real thing. And it goes on for like 4 or 5 pages where it's just like Science Man talking about science, and it was kind of boring. But at the end, they mech up some animals, and then they tease some more there's like a villain team. So at the end, I was like, well, hell yes, I need more of this. Matter of fact, I want to see what I got to see what their name was. The villain team had a pretty good name.
So I'm guessing oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, now that we've found number 1, I can find the 2 through 4 online, but I wanted to find number 1, like ideally at Heroes with people around me. But yeah, what were you going to say, Dan?
Oh, I was just going to guess or ask that I'm guessing that it's not an expensive book, but it's just like nobody really collects it. So it's like, you can't really, it's just hard to find. Nobody's going to store it in the comic shop. And
my LCS had a set of all 4, and they wanted $25, and I was just like, I can't. That's more than $5 per book. I didn't like that. So at the end, that's the villain team, and they're called Heavy Metal. There's a rhino. There's an octopus. I mean, why does a rhino need armor? A rhino is armor,
dude. Indestructible now.
Yeah, I can't wait to see Brute Force go up against Heavy Metal.
Dude, that guy's jawline and chin just screams evil.
It's
Mhm.
Yeah.
exactly. And this is Science Man. Science Man has
His
the
name is Science Man.
no, that's just what I'm calling. I didn't take
Oh,
the
okay.
time to learn his
Okay.
name. I didn't feel like he was
It would
important.
it
He's
would
not an
fit.
animal in a mech suit. But he has a sensible ponytail, like a 90s,
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
you know,
Yeah. He knows you can trust him.
exactly. Like it just felt very 90s. But
Reminds me
yeah,
of the Comic Zone guy from the video
we
game.
love stupid stuff like that. And not only stupid, but K Munin, it's just killing him. This is I opened my package of Mylars for this. This was the first book
Yes.
that went into
Finally,
a
a
Mylar.
comic worthy of
Mhm.
your best bags.
After I got back from Heroes, I was like, which book goes in first? And it was,
Yeah.
I mean, I put in my, my Silver Age DCs that I picked up too, but this was first because that was funnier to me.
Yeah, I love that you held Justice
Little
League number 7 and Brute Force number 1, and you were like, I'm choosing Brute Force to go first.
I, I don't know how to be any other way than I am. And I'm with Fiddle, man. I don't want to pay shipping and handling. I don't want to it would have to be like part of a set that was, that the shipping made it worth it. Because
Like you can be enthusiastic about something and still be like, it's not worth $5. Like
Exactly.
but I do love this, and
yeah.
it's fun to hunt those down. Yeah.
Yeah, I love stupid shit as much or probably more than the next guy, as long as the next guy isn't Nate. But yeah, I do have to keep in mind that like on the sticker price on this was $10, and no, it is not $10. And I think Nate, you paid $5 for each of them,
5.
and
yeah.
I still think that's overpaying by about 10 times.
It is, but I was like, it's a number 1. It's here. Like there is no shipping. And those were the only 2. Like we did not set eyes, and we looked the whole weekend.
Right.
So
Yeah.
oh God, Super Pro.
I was actually just gonna say Super Bro is like one of those books that it's just like find and
I have a lot of Super Pro. That's actually that, like you were talking about. It's hard to find the later issues of that book because they were like, ain't nobody buying this. We should quit making it.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
It was so stupid. Yeah.
NFL Super Pro gets tied up with like game film, experimental like game film of people playing football, and that's what gives him superpowers. And then he wears a experimental NFL uniform and helmet. That's his outfit. It's
Cool.
Everybody should read it. It's just great. I have at least 3 copies of number 1 because they did a special edition. I got that, and then like I it's one of those books that when I see it for $1 or $2, I can't pass it up. It's too dumb.
Yeah, there's quite a few of those types of books that it's like, God, yeah, when it's $1, it's so hard for me. I'm really trying to fight that urge too, because there's so many like fun and books that you pick up for $1, and then you just kind of like you're like cool, and then you put it in the box, and you're like, box is getting big, like
Yeah.
what am I doing?
Well, I mean, we ran into that I don't know if you did because you were flying, so you really probably had to be sensible about what you picked up.
But you're right, I should have. Yeah.
Oh, how did you get everything back?
I like had to try to trick the airlines because I didn't have an underneath book, bag to pack. So I had to like kind of stuff everything unzipped in my backpack, like overflowing with a shirt covering, like, trying to wrap everything over. Like this is just one bag. Don't worry about it. But yeah, no, I didn't think about how much I could bring back. But it worked. It worked out. But I need to be more cautious of that for sure.
I'm sure that the TSA is famously really chill with people trying to hide things from them. So I'm sure that everything worked out fine for you.
Yeah, somehow, some way it worked.
Yeah. Coach saying I ended up with all 6 issues of My Monkey's Name is Jennifer for $1 each. I don't think there's a man on this panel that wouldn't roll the dice for $6 on that.
Yeah, I've never heard of it, but yeah, I would put money down.
Yeah, that title, come on. We were digging at a booth, and there were several times like I had things in my pile and would just have to be like, there were a few that I put back that I kind of regretted because they weren't books that I was necessarily going to see again. But I started weighing it with like, is it just weird or is it weird enough that I'm going to want to actually try to read it and check it out?
Mm.
Because a couple of the ones I did keep and that I did read are terrible. Like they I bought it because it looked ridiculous and it was what I considered a funny or fun cover, and then it just didn't hold up, and that sadly happens a lot. But if you're gonna buy like stuff you've never seen before, there's really no way to avoid getting a dud. I mean, you just it's just gonna happen.
And it's easier to put them back when you have a stack, like when you're looking at the mountain of comics that you've created. You can kind of sift through and audit the ones that you don't want. But when you're just like, oh, this is cool, you just pick one up. Those will add up for sure.
I found that it was easy to keep that in mind because even in 50-cent bins, like it stacks, and if I went there with an envelope of money, and that is what I had for the weekend, and I did not let myself like go to the ATM.
Good.
I just had
Way
what
to
I
go.
had. And so you look at like these 10 books for 50 cents, and you look at them and you're like, do I actually want these? Like, I know that they're ridiculous, I know that they're funny, but am I just going to enjoy them for 10 seconds and then stick them in a box and never look at them again? Because like Brute Force at some point is going to make it into my wall rotation. Like it's going up there, but like, should I have paid $2 for Mr. Cream Puff?
Oh, God.
Probably.
Yeah, no, you should.
Probably
you
not.
should. Though.
It's real
What's
bad.
that name? If you think about it while it's in your box, then it was worth it. I feel like.
So
Look through it and you're
Hagan,
like, what the hell is this?
Because I put Brute Force in a Mylar, it doesn't. The top loaders that I have in my filing cabinet, they're modern size and it won't fit. So if you think I'm not about to order Silver Age top loaders just to solve that problem, you don't know me. I'm keeping it in the Mylar and I'm figuring out how to do
top loaders. I can't find them anywhere. Everywhere I go to try to find those. Nobody's got them. Give me a link.
BCW. I'll send you a link. That's who I use. Cliff has a code.
Oh,
Cliff on Comics has a 10% off code, which is
Cliff?
good. I don't
there
know.
There was also a vendor at Heroes that I got top loaders for some art or for some print that I got.
That was Clear Case, right?
Yeah, like Clear. I think they were called Clear Case.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I hit that booth up too. That guy was really, really nice.
Yeah, he gave my son a hat.
Oh, right on.
Just my son's out there advertising Clear Case. That's why I know he's got it on his hat. See my hat? You gonna buy some of these? I mean, maybe. I don't know. We'll hold Brute Force.
That booth was really cool, and everything that he had was in Mylars with a clear backing board. Like it was kind of nuts to see.
And it was like a lot of the books there. I think we all bought something from him just to get the Mylar and the clear backing board.
For the couple of bucks,
it was $2. I'm like, man, I think that might be the cost of this Clear Case.
Yep.
So yeah. Something else about digging at Heroes that I found was like if I go to a shop, if I go to a used bookstore or a thrift store or whatever, it's rare, right? Like I found the stack of comics they have there, I'm going through them, and I'm more likely just to grab and go. But at this place, like it was 4 days, really from the time I got there, because on Thursday we traded books and I ended up with almost half a short box just in trades and gifts. So like I was a lot more selective, only because I already had so much piled up. There were definitely things I put away that I would have come back with. And it was that stuff you're talking about, that weird 80s and 90s black and white indie stuff that, like, it's such a small publisher. You never saw it, you never saw it in a shop. And rarely, there were several that I could not tell you what the titles were because I'd never heard them. There was that one, it might be Mr. Cream Puff's publisher. Is it Blackthorn that we saw all those? Yeah. I mean, they had a million titles and I hadn't heard a half of them, but we left most of them there.
Oh, really? You just had to just drop them, huh?
I mean, I already had 2 short boxes and I do hate to admit how
it's like sacrilegious, but you gotta do what you gotta do.
I got tired and full. It was, I mean, that was like Thanksgiving dinner, and Sunday is like Sunday at Heroes is Thanksgiving dinner at 4 p.m. Like you are so tired and full and uncomfortable. You just have to lay on the floor and pass out.
Yeah.
But if you're like me, you're like, oh my God, I can't eat anymore. Except for maybe like one last yeast roll and maybe
you have a little
piece of pie.
space. Yeah.
That is literally what we did though. We said we're full, then we went back to help Dave, and he's like, what are we gonna do? I said, I'm gonna go dig. I went and had another roll, you know, and that's when I found brute force.
Yeah.
But you rolled your eyes. You were like, I can't. You wandered off.
So Dan, what was your like strategy for the weekend? Because Nate and I both know what one another did because we were attached at the hip the whole time. But how did you sort of like what was your plan of attack? What were you going to go look for, and what did you?
This was kind of the first time where I didn't have a plan, and I was gonna just be at peace with that. Normally I do write out a list of all the books that I want and kind of like star the ones that it's like these are the ones that I really want, and I don't put pressure on myself to have to get them, but they're just the things that I'm looking out for. Oh my good, look at this dude.
I mean, he's rows and columns over here.
I admire that from you guys, and also from anybody who had their plan of, okay, I'm going to hit this artist first or get this commission. That's so cool. It's too many levels for me to process, I think, when I'm at the con, because I get so stimulated and overwhelmed in those types of situations. So I try to keep things as simple as possible. So in this case, my plan was just, hey, you know what? It's just, of course, hanging out with friends. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. But when it comes to the comic stuff, it's digging. I was just going to look for Mark Jewlers this trip, because that's kind of the kick that I'm on right now. And that was pretty much it. Just hang out with guys, check in on them, see what they're doing, and yeah, flip through the comics. And yeah, dude, nothing sexier. Yeah.
A good spreadsheet. So I saw at least 3 short boxes where people had their Mark Jewlers set aside. Did you? I felt like that was, when I saw that, I thought of you, but then I also thought these people think they have a premium, so they probably priced it accordingly.
And thank you for bringing that up, because we had talked about this at Ryan the Colossus Collector's hotel room, right? About did you go through those? And I should have at least flipped through them, but yeah, I remember I saw that, and that's the first thing I think. Like, the excitement for me in finding them isn't really about, like, it's hard to say if it's like really about the value. It is about the endorphin rush that you get from finding it within the box of all the other stuff. And if you pull it out, if you find the Mark Jeweler, you're like, ooh, sweet, a Mark Jeweler. You pull it out and it says Mark Jeweler on the back of you're like, whatever. Like, it doesn't matter if the price is cheap or whatever for me. It's just like, you want to discover it. Yeah.
So do you go digging? You get a newsstand, and you just what does your spider sense kick in?
It all comes down to the top. I don't have to look at the cover or anything. It's just you look across the bird's eye view of the top of the book. And there's usually, like, you'll know when you see it. A lot of times you see, like, there's a little space in the centerfold that's like you see the shadow, the dark part. That can be like fool you a little bit. But when it's a Mark Jewelers, it really stands out. Like, it'll be blue or green or red or black, something like that. And it's thick, like, and when you pull it out, it's heavier. It has the newsstand. That's like kind of confirmation that it is that. And yeah, so that's just how I would find them.
That's cool. I only own one that I know of, and I found it while I was reading it. Like,
oh yeah,
and I was just like, it was kind of neat.
That's probably the best, like a signature or finding like a double cover or something like that just on accident. That feels so cool.
Yeah, but I only have. Do you have many double covers? I only have one of those as well.
Yes, and some of those I did seek out as double because I knew it was specifically a double cover. I think I don't know if I've ever found a double cover on accident. And I only
they're harder to identify, like, at sight quickly
Yeah.
than a Mark
I've
Jewlers
never,
does.
I actually only one time have I found a double cover, and I'm like, oh, I think this is a double cover. Well, that's a lie. I found the first double cover I ever owned was on eBay. When they took the pictures, I could see like the print. You could see like just that little sliver, and like you know how like the edge
Yeah.
has a graphic there on it, and then the next one was like just slightly lower, but the same printed graphic. That's why I was like, I think I'm going to take a chance on this one, and it was a double cover, so that was awesome. And then I got the bug and wanted to keep finding them, and then I would pay more money for the double covers. But to answer your question, I think I have about 10 double covers or so.
Cool.
Very cool.
Just this from the chat, like I felt like there were definitely people who had high priced wall books, but almost everybody's booth that you went to, they would ask, what do you want to see, and let's talk about price. Like there was a fluidity there, and people knew they had to make deals if they wanted to move books. So like the sheer number of vendors, I feel like really worked in a buyer's favor, depending on what you wanted to get. But like if you just went in scattershot and started like grabbing things you thought were cool off walls, you'd be broke so quick. And that's that's what I could have seen happen to me if I didn't put some things in the front of my mind to work towards. But I did think like I was really impressed with prices. And with just the atmosphere in general. Like people were very welcoming and very, very accommodating. There were a couple of purchases I made where they just knocked stuff off. I didn't even ask, I went up there and it's like $28 and like, I don't know, 25. Okay. It was just like everybody, they knew what they needed to do.
That's a good like generalization, because there were vendor to vendor is going to be different, but most of the people I felt like right away they would kind of tell you, hey, make a stack, I'll give you a deal, or we can talk about the price, that's just my con price, they're straight up with you. And then other people are saying like, oh, it's priced accordingly,
Well, that's sort of the thing, is that with smaller conventions, I somewhat agree that sometimes the wall books can be a bit cost prohibitive, but I found at Heroes Con that like if you walked up and asked, they would cut a deal for you, and if you didn't find a price that you liked, go 10 feet to your left or 10 feet to your right, and you will probably still be able to find that book. But like as an example of like Heroes Con being good for prices on big books, like last year I got an Avengers 4 for like right at $600, and I think that is like more than fair for the condition that book is in. This year I was able to get this Swamp Thing #1 for $75.
That's such a great buy,
which is a killer deal, and
that's insane.
And I didn't haggle with that book. It had $250 on it. The guy was like, everything on the wall is half off. That would be $125. I would do $75 for you. And I was like, good. Shit, twist my arm then. Like I didn't ask.
No, and that happened, and like it was like that. It was like just the guy just kept talking and money kept falling off, and Hagan could not get his wallet out fast enough. It was and that guy is the one we keep talking about, that we kept going back, because he, Friday $2 books, Saturday everything was $1, and on the last day everything was 50 cents. And we couldn't stop. We went back multiple times, and every day he was bringing in new stock. So it was just like he was his own like mini show.
It seemed like he rented a U-Haul to get there and a Porsche to get back. Like he did not want to bring things with him back home.
That's awesome. I wish I would.
Eric was there with us. I mean, we all just kept going back. Oh, I just got back from that guy, and we knew who you were talking about. Like we knew where you were for the last hour.
I wish I would have taken a more general approach to each booth, because the only ones that really stood out were the ones that were, ridiculously overpriced and wouldn't budge. It just stood out to me as like, avoid that spot. And then there were other people that were just generally very nice and willing to, negotiate. Even if they were firm on their price, they were very respectful, and it was easy to approach or question them about a price.
I was just going to say that there was something that I was doing at that show, which is as far as like the dollar books, the 50-cent books, like you just dig and you find what you can find. But the the priced as marked back issues, all of us have books that we have like looked for and seen enough to where we know like about what the market value is, like about what the price is, just through like osmosis. And so I would go up to booths and start at the C section because I know how much like Captain America books should go for, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And so if I saw some nothing issue that was going for $30, I would just leave the booth because I sort of took the temperature and knew
Yes.
I'm not going to be able to meet up on price with you, you know?
So that was kind of your dipstick to check the prices of the booth. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There was I think it was on Sunday, but one of the booths we were at, and they had a bunch of the Capwolf stuff, which I have. I think I have 3 issues of that to go still. But you were looking at that section for me. I was like, these prices are ridiculous, and you were just like, we're out of here, because it was like they had like $8 on these 90s caps, you know, books that are easily 50 cents to $1, you know, and yeah, it was like Hagan said though, if you didn't like that booth, go to the next one, and every kind of like I was really shocked at how many like back issues I found that were just in pristine shape. That question run that was so cheap, those are in excellent shape. That Moon Shadow run, and then those Maxes that we found. Oh, and yeah. I think Rich from Big Nasty ended up getting even more from that guy. But those books were just beautiful, and they were not like they weren't even priced at, in my opinion, fair market for the vendor. And I still got money off when I went up there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a question that I wanted to ask you, Dan. Is something that Eric just mentioned. He says that I stayed away from the boxes that had shiny modern books for the most part and looked for off-white comics in short boxes. What are the things that you see about a vendor or about a booth that made you think like this is a place that I want to go? And maybe as like a corollary to that, you generally shop on eBay. So how do you find like vendors and stuff that you trust that way as well?
Yeah. Cool. To Eric's point, like if there is just a bunch of boxes that don't have any information on it, right? Like it's just, and there's no signs. You just assume like you just make a stack and the guy goes, I don't know, this much money. Right. Sometimes those can be enticing, but you know you're going to get your fingers dirty. You know you're going to be digging for a long time because there could be some gold in there, you know, and they're probably going to price them fairly. That's those booths that you just don't know anything. Everything's mixed all together. And you're right. In those cases, Eric, you look over the top and you look for those off-white colors. You know, I look for the ones that aren't in pristine white shape because I'm just not interested in that. I'm looking for the copper, the bronze. So in that case, I would do that. But I always just go right to the X section, look at what X-Men stuff they have. And then I'll jump from title to title based on like where they have their, you know, like everything that's already sectioned out. That I look for the titles that I'm interested in. But just like what you were saying, to check the prices, I know X-Men prices the most, so I will check that, see what their inventory looks like, see what their prices are at, see kind of what the vendor would say to me when I'm looking. If they're like very avoidant and don't talk to me, then the prices need to be fairly priced. But if the prices, I'm willing to stick around and look a little more if the vendor approaches and says like, hey, like, let me know if you're looking for anything, you know, I can give you, you know, we can make a deal, or, you know, if they just mention like, you know, we can negotiate here, then I'm also more willing to stick around, even if the prices are a little higher. So I guess like I do like a more organized booth. I do hit up the priced as marked section because I played the game where I would dig through the dollar bins a lot. And I think I would just come home with a lot of stuff that I wouldn't necessarily regret, but I wouldn't remember. And what I love is buying stuff and you go, oh yeah, I have that now. And just remembering and thinking, yes, I have that in my collection now. And invariably it's the ones that I paid $20+ for. So, cause I'm really trying to get it down to like 1-2 short boxes. Right now I have maybe like 3 or 4 long boxes of comics. And so I don't have a lot anyway, but I would like to get it down to like every single comic I flip through is like is something that I'm just like really, really happy to own. But I'll still buy the ones that I'm just like, this is a really good price and I can't just let this sit here. Or
Yeah.
or if it's like a slight variant of something that something I don't have, but I love it, I'll do that too. And just kind of see how I feel later. If later I don't love it, then I'll just move it and try to get something else that I love more,
Yeah.
Sorry,
I think
on a tangent.
No, that's what
Excuse
this
me,
is for,
sorry.
dude.
All right.
This is a good point too, though. There were a lot of vendors like, passing out cards and saying, oh, I don't have that here, but when I go back to wherever, like they were trying to make, even if they weren't making sales there on the floor, they were making connections. And that was just kind of another cool part of this, because it wasn't, I mean, from a collector standpoint, there were just so many options to look at, but these guys were still like, they were trying to make customers out of you, even if you even if you weren't from their area, if they had something that they could move, because like brute force or anything, like people looking for weird stuff, like if you've got a book that you want that not a lot of people are looking for and they don't bring it, but they've got it, they still want to sell it, so when they find you, that it pays to talk to people. Although I never did find a lowest number one. I only found one place that said that they had one, and it was like, it was on Heritage auctions. They're like, oh, we just put it on Heritage. I'm like, well, good for you. I don't have Heritage money.
That's a good point. I never even considered that, but I know just from hearing from people who have been around for a long time that making relationships with vendors and just other people, telling people what you collect, what you do, even if you're just, a little shy about it, you're going to get ahead by doing that. And I know that that's the truth, but I still haven't made that leap to make those connections with vendors. But they're the ones that get the first shot at the comics that you want.
But so don't you buy a lot of things from Cheddar?
I may have bought one or two comics from Chris, but we have a relationship.
Okay.
Because
he's somebody who I see do that like real time all the time. Like he knows a lot of these guys in the community and what they collect, and when he gets those things, he reaches out to those people before they end up on the auction sometimes, and that's super cool. Like I am
definitely his type of clientele too, because we collect the same kind of stuff. We're both really into X-Men stuff. He's on the Council of X Ryan for the Colossus Collectors group, and yeah, we have a lot in common when it comes to that, and I have a lot to learn from him when it comes to the relationships that he makes and the connection that he makes. He's such a personable guy. And so I think I have a lot to learn about the way he does things, because I'd like to get to that level of connection and be able to get those types of comics. It's exciting.
Cool, man. Outside, this was a question I wanted to ask you. So let's say the X-Men disappears. It's not an option. So what would you go to? What would your backup be? Is it another X team, or is there another character that you'd be like, oh, if there's no more X-Men, I guess I'll read Mr. Cream Puff?
Yeah. I probably would. Because it's hard to admit that I just don't watch any of the Marvel movies really. Like I don't, I'm sure they're good, everybody tells me, but like I just don't watch a lot of the newer stuff like that. But when it comes to the comic books too, like Marvel comics, they're just like, to me, not great reads.
I love so much that I can feel you like stepping on eggshells. Like
people are gonna get mad at you.
I love the stuff that's just like fun, like that doesn't take itself too seriously, and you're reading a comic just to enjoy it. Same thing with like a video game or like a summer romp kind of a movie. It's like, we're not here to like be critics here of this movie. Like, let's just have some fun. This is entertainment. And I feel like some of the old Marvel stories are awesome. Like, the whole story with the Fantastic Four Galactus, that is one I'll see in the theater, because I do really enjoy the the gravitas of like how big
Yeah.
this thing is. But they've done that, you know, like Marvel has done that already in the 60s. And it's like they've keep trying to recycle the same, like, we're going to cross all these different issues and you got to buy all this stuff. And it just like, it feels so markety and campy. And like, I'm just tired of it, that I like standalone issues that I can just pick up and read, one and done. You don't need to know anything. You learn everything about the characters within the dialogue of their, between their relationships and talking to their wife. You can understand how struggling of a marriage they have. And, you know, it's The Jam. That's another one of these indie books that I loved when I was younger. So I would probably just go to these titles that only have, you know, a 4-issue miniseries, or because I just love those start and stops, or those smaller graphic novels. Those are the things that I love, like written by, you know, just something that has a very emotional pull to it. So yeah, it would just be random, you know, and then like that's the modern stuff I would read too, is just the standalones that don't have an ongoing, not trying to just grab your money, or you know, they're just like the things that have series. Television shows are the same way for me. It's like I like a start and stop. I don't want to have to, like Severance, for example. I really like the show Severance.
Oh yeah,
or
messed up.
Or Ted Lasso. But like when it was like the first season or something, it felt something very special. And then when I hear like, okay, we're going to come out with more, yes, I will watch them. But I also kind of feel that feeling like you guys are just going to like do the same thing that Lost did, where you're not going to answer this question. You're just trying to get these bits, you know, and sacrilegious. I know, again, Claremont to a certain degree, like toward the later part of his run of the X-Men, I'm like, I don't care about whatever you're setting up here. And I know you're not, like, you know, he did a pretty good job of connecting these pieces, like a really good job, especially like in the middle of this run. But like, that's the kind of thing where it's like, when you keep setting up all of these, you know, storylines, I don't have the bandwidth to hold all that information in. I like to keep it pretty simple and contained.
Yeah, absolutely.
How does he have the bandwidth is my question. Like, you know, he was writing Uncanny, he was writing New Mutants, and then all kinds of miniseries. Like I have the Magic miniseries from the late 80s that he did. And it's 4 issues, and I think it took me a month and a half to read it.
Good. I love that.
It's so long. But like there's so many words in it, and I did enjoy it quite a bit. It is weird. I mean, it is so freaking weird. But you know, in talking to other people, because I was like, I get dropped right in, right? I'm like, I'm missing something. Like, what was this? And so, you know, then somebody explained, well, I mean, you missed like 5 years of X-Men is what led up to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so odd. But how does he hold all these, like, I mean, the mutant universe is like, Hagan and I have said before, it's its own wing of Marvel. You know, Marvel has New York City and it has X-Men, and X-Men is just enormous. And he really it seems like he really ran that playground for a long time.
Right. Yeah. I understand that he really tried to cradle that whole, everything mutant and X, because he didn't want somebody else screwing it up. And I really appreciated the fact that the X-Men were somewhat separate from the other Marvel characters. Like I felt like you had to know about, for the Avengers, for example, like each one of those characters, you kind of got to know what's going on. They all have a pretty tight relationship and they're all working together for some big foe that they're fighting. Whereas the X-Men were always kind of treated as their own compartmentalized universe, even though they were still a part of it. The rest of the Avengers, you know, never really bothered too much with it outside of just like a cameo appearance. And I liked that because I felt like I didn't have to follow along.
Yeah.
But once they brought in like all of these other X teams, I did start to kind of like lose a little bit of interest. It's just too much for me to follow.
Well, like a lot of what we collect is nostalgia. So people like X-Men people have a huge nostalgia for like the Claremont run. But like you said, it's not all great, you know, and I haven't read it, so I can't speak to that. But what I can speak to is like I love Jack Kirby.
Yeah.
I love Stan Lee because of, you know, what they did for the industry, the fact that like they are foundational to the things that I love.
Mm.
But Jack Kirby's art has a particular style,
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of sort of have to get used to it, and it's very recognizable. And
Yeah.
it could be argued that it's not like great looking, like it looks completely different from like, you know, like a Ginny Frizen or like a very like realistic thing. It just has its own style. I'm not saying that it's bad. Don't kill me. Stan Lee's writing. I'm reading through starting at 100. I'm reading all of the caps that I have for like a little project that I'm doing. Man, it is of its time, and it is. I wouldn't call it evergreen, but like it's the stuff that we love. And it's like the start of things that we love. And so we look at it with sort of like rose tinted glasses. But Nate, you and I were talking about this at Heroes Con. We love Captain Kirk, but William Shatner is not a good actor. Like it's sort of that bent.
Yeah, and I think he's at Shatner is at Knoxville Comic-Con this weekend. You know, expensive pictures. I didn't get one when he was at Indy. I kind of regret it, but it's like $200 for in front of plexiglass. He's behind plexiglass, which he should be. He's like 94 years old. But how much? I mean, Hagan and I, when we would stop at the con, we'd go back to the hotel room and watch Star Trek, and just like sit and veg out. And yeah, I really I have a picture of me with George Takei.
Cool.
Yeah, but most of the other guys have eluded me. I met Scotty when I was a little kid at a CarQuest World of Wheels, if you know what that is. It was like a convention car show. Like, you know, they had new cars and whatever, but like at this con was one of the Duke boys, Elvira and Scotty. And I was like 8 at this thing, and I got to meet Scotty and thought that was so cool because it wasn't, God, I don't know what year it was, but it wasn't too long before or after Star Trek 4, you know, the whales. That's the one that taught America how to love again.
So sweet. I was more of I was a next generation guy.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I am too. I love it all, but yeah, next gen is definitely my
I should probably revisit the first ones because every clip that I see from that, it's just like there is something. You're right, like about the nostalgia and like writing for its time and the acting. Like it's so campy, over the top, and like, but there's something you love about it. You know, those little bleep bloop buttons that are flashing in the back. It's just
the sets are wonderful, and the fact that like they also just, I don't know, we had a cowboy set, so can you do a cowboy story?
Yeah,
and they would like whatever they had available that they built for some other show. They're like, don't throw that away because we can go to Rome.
Use that. Yeah,
we're gonna go to space Rome.
My favorite thing about Next Gen is that like it maintained the goofiness of Star Trek, but nobody told Patrick Stewart that. So he brought all of his like Shakespearean oomph to it. The line must be drawn here, and no further. Like,
dude, between him and Data, it's like, there's so many like philosophical, like great moments. You know, like what is a machine, or what is, you know, there's like one where they're in courtroom, like trying to decide
what of Data. Oh my God.
There you have it. Yes,
the measure of a man is the episode.
So good.
Yeah. I just watched Data's daughter. I can't remember the name of that one, but he builds a child, and
I don't remember.
What is her name?
Oh my God, her name is Lal. That's a good one. LAL.
Okay.
Hard one to watch at the end for sure.
Oh, it's heartbreaking. It's
so
so,
good.
so good.
Destroy her or something.
You just have to watch it.
Dude, I gotta see this. Oh man,
you just have to watch it.
We'll send you the link after the show.
Oh, that's cool. Is it like just on YouTube or something? Like you can watch the episode?
I mean, I don't know.
I
pay for Paramount Plus
Star
because
Trek?
I'm that big of a Trekkie. Okay.
Okay.
It's called The Offspring.
Oh wow, there
My
it is.
my boy Eric's got my back there. He's
Wow, you're on.
it's, so Eric and I met because of Star Trek, and like
Oh, okay, cool.
I don't want to veer off here because my superpower is that like I will talk about Star Trek until people leave, and Eric never left. So so he and I have been talking about Star Trek for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, Eric.
Look at him go. He's dropping. He knows all of it. Like, oh, Frakes directed this. It's his first episode. That's Frakes' first episode directing. That's a good one.
So before we, Eric, before we completely and totally veer off into Star Trek, Dan, is there? We're coming up on, like, we're at an hour and 15 minutes now. We want to be respectful of your time. But is there anything from the Heroes Con weekend that, like, you wanted to say or you wanted to talk about, or just like final thoughts, I guess?
No, I mean, the best times were, just hanging out in the that one night. I think it was just the first night, right? Like Friday night when we were in Ryan's room and just like, just chatting and laughing. Like I was just felt so relaxed in Ryan's bed, just with my shoes off and
off.
You guys were all laughing at me, and it was just that was just the best. Like, it was just,
you built a nest in another man's bed. Like, it was adorable.
I felt a little bad because for a span of about 10 minutes we did nothing but bust your balls.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of
I was hoping that for
anybody who's wasn't there, everybody else, I had a bloody nose. What else? Like, they were just making fun of the way that I would take my shoes off anytime I went into anybody's apartment or anybody's hotel room. I guess I do things that I'm like a little more.
No one could remember. Like, Noah had said this too. He's it's so hard. Everyone has 2 freaking names. How am I supposed to remember, everything? Like your YouTube channel and your real human name.
Right.
So then the misnaming of everybody became like this motif that we kept doing that night.
Right.
Because
I would get people's names wrong. Like, I'm so bad with names, but like,
which you called Noah Broke Boy Comics.
Yeah. Well, that's it. It was like Poor Boy. I was like, you're Poor Boy.
That was
like, I know your name is Poor Boy Comics, but I don't know your real name. And he's like, well, it's Broke Boy Comics. And then everybody started calling me Stan's X Factor Comics, which was that was awesome.
Stan's X Factor, Lunch Michael, Colossal Collector.
I haven't even heard of these other ones.
Ryan
was
laughing
so hard I wasn't
Brian.
Even
he was Brian the Colossus Protector.
That sounds about right.
Those were my favorite moments too, honestly. Like, just the con was great, digging was great, the book's awesome, but like just the fun and the laughing and like the the little inside jokes and phrases that we have now because of that. Like, it was just the summer camp experience was legit. Like, it was really fun and just relaxing, and I laughed for 4 days straight. It was great.
Yeah.
Dan, you said something earlier where you were like, I got to meet everybody and it was fun, yada yada yada, but the con itself, and like I found myself filming a video to do, and I had to re-record the intro where I was basically like, I got to do 2 of these, because there was distinctly like the con that everybody gets to do where you like go onto the floor and you look for books, and then there was the con that I got to do, which was the everything else that happened, which was actually like my favorite part of the weekend. And so, I very much related to the, we got to hang out, whatever, blah, 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 blah. But anyway.
Yeah. I think that there's something to that, like, because you're right. We all experienced the convention floor. So we all have a like common shared experience in that. But when we're talking to like the folks that didn't come to the hotel room, I don't want to leave you or folks out of that when I talk about it. So I kind of want to, even though it didn't really mean a lot to me, I kind of want to brush over it, because it's like, well, it's boring, or I assume that it's boring to other people, because like, why do you want to hear about what I did? Maybe you do, I don't know, but I feel like
why do you want to hear about 15 minutes of trying to figure out what the bloody nose
these
issue
inside
was?
jokes and stuff? It's just like, well, whatever. Like, I wasn't a part of that, so why would I care? Yeah, I think, and I feel like, so I feel maybe a little like, I don't know what the word is, like, not guilty or, but something along those lines of just like,
Like
Yeah.
guarded.
yeah, it's like, I don't need to share, and like you don't need me to get mushy about this stuff,
Well,
but it
Yeah.
really did, it really did mean something, to
it did.
hang
And
out with you guys.
we when we got together, the four of us in the FOMO squad, what night was that? I think that was Saturday night. Or no, it's I don't know. It
Saturday
all
night
runs
was like when
together.
we got it like
Yeah.
at the bar, and then
I think it was Saturday night after the auction. We escaped
Saturday
and
was
we
the
went
auction.
we
Thank
went we went to we went to Dope's room. But we were passing books out and and just showing books that we had bought and things, and we had said like, oh, we should film this, to have like content for the content machine. But in the end, we were like, let's just hang out, So everything doesn't have to, like you said, Dan, some of that stuff is just for, the experience. It doesn't all have to be like, it doesn't all have to be shared. But to what Fiddle Chips is saying here, yeah, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
48 years old. I don't remember the last time I went and had a sleepover like this. This
You're
was
48 years old,
yeah.
dude. If I wish that I could look like you at 48.
Well, I'm gonna age overnight. Like it's gonna happen like all at once. Like between two Sunday shows, I'm just gonna look, white haired and whatever.
You're right though. Like Fiddle Chips is saying, I think you're right. Maybe it is so special because
I think
we
it
don't
is.
have that. Like I don't get that. I have my friends that I've had for a really long time,
Yeah.
but I talk once a year with them, and that's good. I maintain that relationship, but you don't really get that time out, especially if you have kids or
Right. I mean, I'm at a point, my son is old enough. He came with me, and my wife was visiting family while we were down there. But like, yeah, working in the logistics of doing something like this, having the time to do it, and then just like, there is like this unbridled freedom that a middle-aged man hasn't had since his, early 20s. And I think we all went a little hog wild with that, but nobody was, no one went over the edge or anything. It was just a lot of fun. And it's the kind of fun that you don't get to have. I assume that's what I saw last year with the Terrificon videos and the build up. It just seemed like, that experience of getting to hang out and interact with people who have the same hobby and the same passion for it that you do, even but with people's passions being in different lanes. That's what's cool, is like, I'm not a big X-Men guy either as Hagan, but we love talking to you because you are. We want to hear what people are into, and it's just fun, man. It's just it was just so fun.
diagram that we can connect on.
Right. So, yes, everyone has to drink your White Claws and collect Nightcats. That's another book I did look out for and didn't see a single copy of.
I wasn't looking for Nightcat, to be perfectly honest with you. I was too wrapped up in the whole brute force thing.
It was we were on a mission. Yeah, so Dan, you're talking maybe Terrificon, but do you think you'll return to Heroes Con next year?
I mean, yeah, I would. But just like Hagan had said, like I can probably just do like one con, especially like if I'm traveling. I could drive somewhere if it's in Southern Washington or somewhere in Oregon that's drivable. I could swing that. But yeah, between the hotel, the flight, it's too much money for me. I have to save all year to plan on that. And that means like not saving really, but like, selling comics or something, to make my way there. Yeah. So I'll just say, no, I'm not going to Terrificon, though. Gosh, like I had such a great time last year. I don't know if it'll ever be as great as that again either. So
just based on what I saw, do you feel like Terrificon is more crowded? The footage I saw last year, it felt like it was more compact, whereas Heroes was what, Hagan, 200,000 square feet is what you looked up?
30,000 square feet, yeah.
No way.
Yeah, 200. I mean, that's, why did your feet hurt? It was huge. But it's like even with all the people like on Saturday, they're like, it's a record-breaking attendance day. It felt busy, but it didn't feel crowded. There was plenty of space to get away.
Yes. So even though Terrificon is definitely catered to comic folks, very similarly to the way that Heroes Con was, there is you can walk to the end back and forth over and over again and hit up every booth all within one day. There was no way I was going to be able to do that at
Right.
Heroes Con. I think I said that right. At Terrificon,
Yeah.
you can walk all
Okay.
the way, but Heroes Con, no, it took me 3 days just to check out the X-Men, just to check out every comic booth. I didn't even get to the artist area on the backside or the area that had the stage um, with the
Right.
like cosplayers and stuff. Yeah, so there's no way that I could even cover all that ground at Heroes Con. And the spacing, Mike from Lunch Money Comics, he had mentioned that the spacing in the aisles were so much wider. It always felt like there was room. You'd never bump into anybody.
No.
Whereas in Portland, at the Portland City, what do they call it? Rose City Comic Con. You're always brushing against people or like shuffling behind somebody to wait for your alleyway to move
Right.
through.
Right.
And yeah, and same thing I'd say with Terrificon. When it's really crowded, yeah, it's really crowded. But you are going to get that same catered booths. If you're interested in comics, you're going to get that. And I also like to gamble, so it's so fun for me to have that that gambling atmosphere in the casino. It's just, especially you can just be just a total delinquent, you can drink, you never have to leave your room. You can just order room service, and oh man, it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, I did not make it to the area with the stage where CGC was, except on the very first day. But I never made it back over there, and I wanted to. There was a really cool Star Trek Klingon thing that they were doing charity. My wife went over there. I really only saw cosplayers on. I mean, I saw them all the days, but I think Saturday they had a contest or something, right?
I think so.
So there were more of them on Saturday, but it just wasn't
Yeah.
a show where I saw a ton.
Same. Yeah, I didn't see a bunch.
You know, I really feel like almost everybody was there. Like we were there to look for books or get signatures, and that was kind of nice too, because like it did. I think that helped break it up as well. There were definitely people who were there more to get things signed. They weren't on the floor as much, and because that area was not separate but the other half, it just helped to keep things spacious. Like if I was digging and someone was too close to me, you just go to a different booth, because there was plenty of, you didn't, I never felt crowded out, but if I did, it wouldn't have been hard to get away. And yeah, I see footage of San Diego or New York Comic-Con, and they both just look way too busy, too much noise and like advertisements. I don't know. This was Heroes was special. I've just never seen it. Everybody has the whole year I've heard people talking about it, that it's just an amazing show for someone who's looking for comics. And yeah, I can't say enough nice things about it. I don't know if I'll go back next year, but I'm already gonna start saving for the next time I do go, because I'm definitely returning.
Yeah, it seems like last year, like the big meetup was Terrificon. It seems like last year there's a big meetup at Heroes Con, and I've heard talks about going to a different convention next year.
Maybe C2E2.
Yeah,
that's the one that I've heard. Because I think like Chicago's a fairly central place for a lot of people. It could be fairly easy to get people there, and flying to Chicago is rather cheap.
Yeah.
So that's what I've heard. Like I said earlier, Dan, you and I think are in the same place. I've got one big con in me, like one big travel to it con in me. Everything else, like it gets dicey after that. So if there's going to be like one of those big meetups planned, I'm going to try and save up to go to that, because I really enjoy the getting to meet with people in person. I care less if I actually am able to buy books, like if the con were just hanging out in Colossus's room that first day, meeting you guys down at the bar, I think that was Wednesday night, just like hanging out at the public house. If it was just that, I would have been okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's sort
Same.
of the gist.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go wherever everybody else goes. That's what I've been doing my whole life. So I'll just keep doing that.
Dan the follower. Dan will be there.
100%. Like Fiddlechip was saying about maybe some of these cons, New York, whatever. Like it's a pop culture convention.
Yeah.
And sometimes that can be cool for its own thing. But you're right. It's like empty calories. Like you're not going to walk away feeling full of, like, wow, look at this great, these great comics that I got, or this great, artwork. Sometimes you will, but this one, we're eating protein, at Heroes Con and Terrificon. C2E2, it seems like, I think like Eric was saying, it's still a little bit crowded. Is that right? But it's still kind of focused more on the comics there.
Wow, I've bet the Hobbits 12 times. Just give me comics. I mean,
oh yeah, totally.
The fan expos, the pop cons can definitely be like that. But it is cool, like sometimes to walk and see, like, I mean, I saw Brent Spiner signing stuff. I saw Tony Danza play a ukulele right next to Lou Diamond Phillips. You can't put that sentence together easily. Like you have to have that experience.
Yeah, it is still fun. It is, and it's a lot more fun when you have friends to share that with,
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's something really rewarding in that. I mean, like we talk about the meeting up with friends, but like when you've kind of created for yourself these friends online that you've never met, and then you go meet them in person, there's like, you've just collected friends, like you just dug through the short box of the internet and you pulled out the good ones, so that's fun hunting in itself, and very rewarding, right?
Oh, someone needs to clip that. That was poetry. You've collected friends from the short box of the internet.
and I left half of them there because I had to audit that stack. I couldn't bring them.
I got this one. Yeah. I don't need an upgrade.
Yeah, I don't need another one of these guys. Yeah.
I already am friends with bearded white guys with glasses. I can find
how many of
else.
those can you collect? I have the whole set. Yeah. Newsstand and direct. Jesus.
Do you have bearded white guy in cargo shorts? All of them. Actually.
What about the glasses? Yeah.
Oh, I really enjoyed meeting you, Dan, and we've been on a few hangouts together, but we just we wanted to do a Dan feature and just
appreciate you guys. I don't know why you did it, but I thank you for having me on. You got your guys' channels, like right off the bat, you guys hit the ground running with your channels, and I just knew right away, like I would love you guys, meeting you guys in person. You guys, I'm like very envious in the way that I'm not a good speaker. I feel I cannot talk the words well. But you guys have a way of just flowing your conversation that I love. It's so easy to watch you, and just really appreciate you guys putting yourselves out there in your channels. So much fun. Keep it up.
Oh, that's very nice, and we will nice. Wire payment for that compliment directly.
That's right. You can hit me on PayPal. Forthwith. Same name.
Yeah. Everybody, PayPal Dan. He made some poor decisions last weekend.
Do it.
So yeah, man. Dan is linked in the description. Please follow him on Instagram. I know his link has been dropped a few times as well by JSS. Thanks for being here, everybody.
You guys are awesome.
Oh man, they chatted it up, and again, I know I missed a lot of stuff, but we appreciate you guys waking up and being here. And checking us out. So we will be back on Tuesday on my channel with the FOMO Squad at 8 p.m. Tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern, we will be on Eric's channel from SideQuest. Cool. Actually, it's going to be another FOMO Squad hangout, but we'll be talking. We'll be talking more Heroes stuff. So if you want some more Heroes silliness, and he says we're going to play a game because he likes his games. So I'm going to try to win. I probably won't. You say I'm not a good speaker. Like I love games and I'm bad at them. Like I'm never good under pressure. My kid beats me at chess. So that's that. All right. We will see everybody next time. Thanks for hanging out. Have a great Sunday, everybody. Go check out all the other shows.
Bye, y'all.
Awesome.